Hi, Christine Nayler here with Simcoe Community Media. Today I am sitting down with Michael Speers, Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte candidate for the federal election for the Communist Party, and we're just going to talk, and he's going to give us a little bit more details about why he's running and why he's the best person to vote for represent our community. So welcome, Michael. Thank you for giving us time today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So maybe if you could just start by what made you decide to run as a candidate in this election?
Well, I've always been kind of the behind the scenes guy in other campaigns or politicians I've worked for. I've been the guy kind of coming up with strategy or writing speeches or doing stuff like that. And I think there comes a point where you have to make the jump and say, I have some ideas. I want to represent this area. Our community and the entire country has some real issues that need real solutions. And so I thought this was a good time for me to throw my hat in the ring and put forward some policies that we as a party believe can really improve people's lives.
Brings me to the next question then. What made you choose to run for the party that you're running for?
Well, I've been a member of the Communist Party for about 3 years. 3 years now, I believe, 3.5. And for me, the Communist Party is the only party that actually has the interests of working people and their families in mind. That's the only reason the Communist Party exists, is to promote and to push the interests of working people. And so, when things like high costs of food, high cost of rent, I think things like that. A lot of people in our community are suffering from. I look at other parties and I see that they're only kind of just talking about some ideas, but not really putting forward solutions. And I just firmly believe that the Communist Party is the only party in this election that is actually putting forward ideas that I think will make our community better, will improve people's lives, and create a better country now and in the future.
Okay, so can you just tell us a little bit about your party's platform?
So the slogan this year is peace and prosperity, not war and austerity. And from that, you can kind of get where our focus is. We are a party of peace. We believe that not only does war obviously destroy countries and destroy communities, but it's obviously not a good use of our resources. It's bad for families. It's bad for the climate. So we want to see a pretty drastic demilitarization in Canada. We want to see the military budget cut by up to 75%. We want to see Canadian soldiers repatriatize. We want to see Canada out of military alliances like NATO and NORAD. And we believe, the savings that could come from that, like not only is it good just to demilitarize from a philosophical point of view, but getting all the billions of dollars, tens and hundreds of billions of dollars that are spent each year on the military and our commitments would allow Canada to put money into where it's needed. It's into building social housing, investing in our healthcare system so that we have a real pharma care plan and a real dental plan, and that our long-term care plan actually does look after our elderly when they need it. So investments like that, other investments like high-speed rail, nationalization of key industries like steel, aluminum, auto, oil and gas, things like that. We just feel like that's a better use of money instead of the military. So, we're talking about peace, prosperity for Canadians, and not war and austerity, which is what you're going to get with the other parties. Okay, thank you.
So what do you feel are the most important issues facing our community and country at this time?
Well, obviously, the elephant in the room is Donald Trump and the tariffs, and we're already seeing the effects of that. We're seeing hundreds of workers being laid off at auto plants, steel plants, and so that's obviously a real concern for our community and for the whole country in general, because it'll have a ripple effect we'll soon start to see it here, the effects of that. And that's why we're putting forward a real plan to nationalize those key sectors, so that you're not kind of beholden to major corporations that are just going to lay off workers if they feel that the profit is going to decline. So we can create a real steel and aluminum industry in Canada. We can have a real made in Canada auto sector. We can have an electric vehicle that's made in Canada, and not worry about making sure that the profit margins are making investors happy. So that's obviously a key point right now. But we've seen over the past few years, the cost of living is obviously something that people are concerned about, and I hear it at the doors. So what a key part of our platform is putting forward price controls. So we want to put real price controls on food, so that your grocery bill isn't in the few $100s every time you go to the grocery store. We want to put a cap on fuel prices, and we want to put a cap on rent. Obviously, rent's far too high. Barrie is one of the most expensive cities in the country to rent, and there are a lot of people here that can't afford a place to stay. So a lot of them are living rough. You know more than anybody else about that. So we want to see some rent control. We want to see rent capped at 20% of people's income, and we also feel that putting in 2 million social housing units across the country would not only provide a place for people to live, it would bring down the price of housing as well. It would also create thousands of jobs for people. So to me, those are the two: the cost of living and the effects of Trump's tariffs are two of the real major points right now.
Okay, and so that brings me to, you covered part of my next question, which is issues affecting our community. So we are right now facing the challenge of dual crisis of the housing crisis as well as the toxic drug crisis in our community. What is your party's plan to address the toxic drug crisis?
Yeah, so we want to not only invest in addiction services, but we want to decriminalize drugs so that we can make sure that the supply that people are using is safe. We feel some of the other parties, especially the Conservatives, they like to get tough on crime. That seems to be their mantra. And that really doesn't do anything to help people. We need to make sure that people stay alive so that they can get the help that they need. People that promote just rehab and things like that to get people off drugs don't seem to realize that you have to keep people alive. You have to make sure that they're alive in order for them to make the choice to get the help if that's what they want. So yeah, safe supply is key. Investing in supervised consumption sites is also critical to our party. It was really a sad day when this community was denied that chance to have a supervised consumption site after it seemed like we were there. So I think those are real solutions that will not only get the help that people need, but really promote life-saving services too.
Okay. You were talking a little bit about dental care and pharmacare. So, what is your party's plan in regards to making sure those programs continue, or to expand on those programs, or what is the plan for that?
Yeah, we need massive investments in that. It was good that there was a bit of a pharmacare program started under the Liberals. It's a sad pharmacare program. It covers two, birth control and diabetes. It's a start. But it seems from what I'm hearing from the Liberals during this campaign is that they're happy with that level. It doesn't seem that they want to add a bit more. And we would want a fully funded pharmacare program that covers all drugs. And in addition, we want a dental care program that everyone's has access to.
Okay.
And we want it to be government run. We don't want it to be privatized so that insurance companies are looking after it. We want it to be government run, and just going along with that, another key part of our healthcare platform is that we want to make doctors and dentists employees of the country. We don't want them operating as independent contractors or operating as private clinics. We want to see them as government staff, and we think that would keep costs down, and it would create even like a better healthcare system and give people better access to better healthcare.
So that was one of my questions, was about the privatization of healthcare that we're seeing happening, and what your party's.
Obviously, the Communist Party is not a fan of the private sector being involved especially in things like healthcare, which is a necessity. It's something that people need to live. We don't think that profit should have anything to do with that. So we want to see more investments in Medicare, and a lot of it comes down to the Canada Health Act. If the government actually enforced the Canada Health Act and made the provinces live up to their end of the act, and said that these private clinics that we're seeing growing more and more each year in a province like Ontario, the federal government has to step in and say that that's not proper. Is that these services that need to be delivered by a government doctor or a government dentist or anything like that, so that the needs of the patients comes not only first, but that is all you care about. That profit shouldn't even be a part of it, not even secondary. It's that the needs of the patients, the needs of people, needs to be paramount, and that's something that our party will fight for.
Okay, thank you. So you were talking a little bit before about the tariffs and the impact of the tariffs on people, and we're already seeing layoffs and stuff like that in the auto sector. So what is your party's plan to support workers through this tough time economically?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're really talking about, and another key part of our platform, is more investments in employment insurance. So we want to see employment insurance at 90% of your previous income. We don't really understand why when someone loses their job, that all of a sudden they're down to almost a poverty level income. We don't think that's right. We think that it should cover 90% of your earnings, and that should go right through till you find another job. A lot of people, it's hard to find a job. Sometimes people end up underemployed after they've lost their job. We don't think that's right. So give people money so that they can survive and be able to pay their bills and look after their family while they look for another job. We think that's very important, and other parties don't seem to feel that way. They want to keep it where it is, but we feel that's especially now with what we're seeing with Trump's tariffs. People are going to be losing their job. The unemployment rate's going to go up. We're probably going to end up in a recession sooner or later, and so making these investments in employment insurance, increasing the funding, is really what workers and their families need right now.
Okay, thanks for that. So talking a little bit too about Donald Trump is his threat of annexing Canada and making us a 51st state. We've been talking to people, and that's on a lot of people's minds right now. What is your party plans to address that, those threats?
Yeah, well, we are strong believers in Canadian sovereignty. We don't think that any type of annexation or joining the U.S. obviously is not good for Canadian workers, and it's not good for American workers either. So we're strong believers, and we want to we want to push back against Donald Trump. I do think that these threats are leading to kind of an unhealthy examination of our military investments, where we're talking about demilitarization. A lot of the other parties are talking about making more investments, buying jets, buying more warships, and things of that nature, which will end up at the end of the day costing Canadians a lot of the services and resources that we count on, because the money's got to come from somewhere, and it's going to come from working people. Working people are going to pay for this militarization, are going to pay for all these new jets and ships, and we just feel that regardless of how much money you put into the military, if the Americans, for some strange reason, decide to attack us because they want to take us over, really no amount of money that we spend on our military is going to end up stopping them. So we just don't think that investment is helpful, because throughout history, whenever there's rapid militarization, it always leads to war. And just with the with the elevated rhetoric we're seeing right now, I don't think it's healthy for that. But at the same time, we are strong believers in Canada. We're strong believers in Canadian sovereignty, and strong believers in all Canadian nations being able to have a say in their lives and what they want to do moving forward.
And so just one of the comments you made was the money has to come from somewhere. It's going to come from the working class. So that's what we're seeing, the income disparity and income tax being increased for the working class, and the people at the top are not paying their fair share, and the corporations are not paying their fair share. So what is your party's plan to address that?
We want to make sure that that the rich and corporations are paying their fair share. We want to dramatically increase the amount of money that the wealthy in our country pay in taxes. We want to double the corporate tax rate. We want to bring back the capital tax, which was taken away about 20 years ago, and that's billions of dollars in revenue that the country lost when they did that, just to appease the wealthy. We also want to make capital gains tax taxable. Capital gains taxable at 100% of the income. So like you and I, when we're paying income tax, it's 100% of our earnings that's taxed, right? With capital gains, right now it's only 50% of someone's capital gains is taxable. And the Liberals were going to increase that to 66%, but they've caved due to pressure and they brought it back to 50%. But we feel that capital gains, 100% of your capital gains should be taxed, because we do feel that there's a real disconnect between who's paying the taxes and who's keeping this country afloat. So we want to see the rich and corporations pay more, and we want to see working people pay dramatically less. So anybody who makes less than $50,000 a year wouldn't pay any income tax under our plan. And we would also cut the HST, so that you wouldn't be paying HST on anything, because that's a real regressive tax. It's not fair that a millionaire and someone making $20,000 a year still has to pay the same amount of tax when they go buy a loaf of bread. So we think that those changes will really flip Canada's tax system on its head, to where it's working people and their families that are actually benefiting from it.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all the questions I have, other than is there anything that you want to highlight that I haven't asked you already about your party's policies?
Yeah, I think one thing that's really important to me is Palestinian liberation and the ongoing genocide that we're seeing in Gaza. And unfortunately, with some of the issues that Canada is facing economically, that's kind of been put on the back burner. But I think people, during this election need to realize that the genocide is still ongoing. There was a bit of a ceasefire, but Israel broke that back in March. So, women, children are still dying in Gaza every day. And I think it's really important that we keep talking to our politicians and keep putting the pressure on them to bring a real arms embargo to our country. Like tell our politicians that we can't be selling arms to Israel, and that we need a permanent ceasefire and a permanent homeland for the Palestinian people.
Okay, and my last question is, for you to just talk to the voters of Barrie, Springwater, Oro-Medonte, and what makes you the best candidate and why they should vote for you.
I think they should vote for me because. So you want me to look in the camera? I think the best. Yeah. The reason to vote for me is that with me, you're going to get someone that fights for working people 100% of the time. That's going to be my focus. That's my only interest, is the benefits and the best interests of working people. There is a lot of talk about strategic voting, and I understand that, but we as a party feel that it's not a good thing when people are picking the least worst choice when they come to putting an X in their ballot. We think you should pick the party and the person that will fight for working people and their families and put their interests first. So, a vote for the Communist Party is a vote for that. It's a vote for a party that's putting people first, putting peace first, and really is putting forward policies that will make a difference in people's lives.
All right, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, take care.